Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Chemistry with Priya Tiwari. If you are new to my channel, please do subscribe my channel. Okay guys, in my previous video we learned about the two laws of chemical combination. So we'll proceed from that topic only. So today in this video we'll learn law of chemical combinations, the rest three law of chemical combination. Then we learn about the Dalton atomic theory, the limitations of Dalton atomic theory and the modification of Dalton atomic theory. And at the last of this video we'll learn about the Avogadro law and its advantage. And at the last I'll give you the information that what is the basic difference between a law and hypothesis. So let's get started. In our previous video, we learned about two laws, that is law of conservation of mass and law of constant composition. Now, the third law of chemical combination is law of multiple proportion. Now, first of all, who postulated this law? This law was postulated by Dalton in 1803. Clear? Law of conservation of mass was postulated by Landolt. Law of constant proportion was postulated by Proust, and law of multiple proportion was postulated by Dalton in 1803. Now, the statement of this law. Now, according to law of multiple proportion, when two elements combine to form more than one compounds, then the masses of one element which combine with the fixed mass of the other element are in simple whole number ratio by weight. Let us take an example. Suppose H2 plus O2 means hydrogen and oxygen, they combine to form water. While balancing, I'll put half air. Clear? Second, H2 plus O2 gives H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide. So, according to statement, when two elements combine to form more than one compound means एक आपका क्या बन रहा है H2O and second one is H2O2. So the two elements when combined to form more than one compounds, then the masses of one element which combine with the fixed mass of the other element. Here the mass of hydrogen is 2 gram, here also it is 2 gram, means the mass of hydrogen is fixed. Now in this reaction 2 gram hydrogen reacts with 16 gram of oxygen, because O2 is a molecule whose mass is 32 gram. Therefore, half O2 becomes 32 divided by 2, that is 16 gram. So, 2 gram of hydrogen reacts with 16 gram of oxygen to form water, and 2 gram of oxygen reacts with 32 gram of oxygen to form hydrogen peroxide. Now, when we compare the ratio of these two, 16 ratio 32, it is 1:2. This is the statement of law of multiple proportion, that when two elements combines to form more than two compounds, then the masses of two elements which combine with the fixed mass of other element are do so in simple whole number ratio by weight. Got it? The next law is law of reciprocal proportion. Now, who postulated this law? This law was postulated by Richter in 1792. This law was postulated by Richter in 1792. Now, the statement of this law. Now, according to law of reciprocal proportion, when two different elements combine separately with a third element, here we are introducing third element. when two different elements combine separately with a third element or fixed mass of a third element, then the ratio in which they do so is either same or simple number ratio. Let us take an example. Let us take three elements: hydrogen, sulfur and oxygen. Hydrogen combines with sulfur to form hydrogen sulfide, that is H2O, and hydrogen combine with oxygen to form H2O, that is water. Clear? So according to statement, when two different elements I have taken oxygen and sulfur, when two different elements combine separately with a fixed mass of third element. So here the third element is 2, whose mass is fixed, that is 2 gram and 2 gram. Oxygen reacts with 2 gram of hydrogen, sulfur also reacts with 2 gram of hydrogen. So when two different elements combine separately with a third element whose mass is fixed, then they do so in. So when they will combine to form SO2. They will combine to form SO2. Now in this, sulfur 32, oxygen 32. Clear? So the ratio is 1:1. When they combine together, they will combine in 1:1. Clear? And when they combine separately with hydrogen, what will be their ratio? Here sulfur is 32 and oxygen is 16. So the ratio is 2:1. In this, the ratio is 2:1. In this, the ratio is 1:1. When we will simplify these two ratios, what will be the ratio? That is 2:1. That is the simple whole number ratio. So when two different elements combine separately with a fixed mass of third element, then they'll do so in either the same ratio or in a simple whole number ratio by weight. Clear? So our next law is Gay-Lussac law. Now who postulated this law? This law was postulated by scientist Gay-Lussac. And when? In 1808. This law was postulated by Gay-Lussac in 1808. Now the statement of this law. In my previous video, I informed you that the above four laws, they deal with the mass, whereas this law, that is the Gay-Lussac law, it deals with the volume of the gases. Now, what is the statement of this law? Now, what is the statement of this law? When different gases reacts with each other to produce gas, then they'll do so in simple whole number ratio by volume. In above four laws, we are dealing with mass. So we are emphasizing on the term weight. In this law, we'll emphasize on the term volume. So when different gases under similar condition of temperature and pressure should be same throughout the reaction. So when different gases under similar condition of temperature and pressure combines to form gaseous product, then they'll do so in simple whole number ratio by volume. Let us take an example. H2 plus O2, it gives H2O. While balancing, these three are present in gaseous form. While balancing, 2H2 plus O2 gives 2H2O. Means 2 volume of H2 combined with 1 volume of O2 to form 2 volume of H2O. Now initially when the reaction started, we have only hydrogen and oxygen. So they are in 2:1, mean a simple ratio. And when they form water in between of the reaction, what will be the ratio? 2:1:2. And this is again a simple whole number ratio. So according to Gay-Lussac law, when different gaseous reactant combine to form a gaseous product under similar condition of temperature and pressure, then they will do so in simple whole number ratio by volume. Got it? Let's move to another topic, that is Dalton atomic theory. Now, as the name indicates, this theory was postulated by Dalton. Now, what are the main postulates of this theory? Now, first postulate is all the matter which are present in nature, all the matter are made up of extremely small, indivisible and indestructible particle called atom. So according to Dalton, atom is smallest, indivisible and indestructible particle. So all the matter which are present in nature, they are made up of extremely small, indivisible and indestructible particle called atom. Now, the second postulates of Dalton atomic theory is that if we talking about the atoms of similar elements, the atoms of similar element are same in all respect. If we talking about element carbon, then the atoms of carbon, all the atoms of carbon which are present in the nature, they are similar in all respect. They have same mass, they have same number of proton, they have same number of neutron, everything they have similar. Third postulate of Dalton is atoms of different elements are different in all respect. Means atoms of different element, if we are talking about carbon and nitrogen, then the atoms of the carbon and the atoms of the nitrogen are extremely different from each other and in all respect. They are never same with each other in any respect. This is the third postulate of Dalton atomic theory. Now, the fourth postulate of Dalton atomic theory is in a chemical reaction, atom takes part. Means whenever a chemical reaction takes place, the atom of that particular element takes part. Means the smallest element, smallest particle which takes part in a chemical reaction, is called atom. Clear? So in any chemical reaction, the smallest particle which takes part is known as atom. And fifth postulate is when different atoms of different element, when the atoms of different element combines together, they'll combine in fixed ratio by mass and then they'll form compound atom, which nowadays are known as molecule. So we'll term them molecule, but Dalton ने उसको क्या कहा था? Compound atom. So when atoms of different element combine together in a fixed proportion by mass, they'll form compound atom. So these five are postulates of Dalton atomic theory. Now we'll talk about limitation of Dalton atomic theory. What are the limitations of Dalton atomic theory? The first and the major limitation of Dalton atomic theory that Dalton failed to explain Gay-Lussac law. We all know that all the laws except Gay-Lussac law emphasize on mass, whereas Gay-Lussac law emphasize on volume. And if we talk about Dalton atomic theory emphasizes upon only and only mass. So Dalton atomic theory has no correlation with volume. So Dalton atomic theory failed to explain Gay-Lussac law. Dalton atomic theory also failed to explain that why atoms of different elements are different in all aspects. That Dalton said that atoms of different elements are different in all respect, but why? He failed to explain. Third limitation of Dalton atomic theory is Dalton said that when atoms of different element combine, they form a compound atom. But if the atoms of different elements are different in all aspects, why and how they combine? how they combine. Means if they are different in all respect, then how they combine and why they combine. Fourth limitation of Dalton atomic theory is that Dalton atomic theory is failed to explain that in a particular molecule how atoms binds with each other. How atoms binds with each other. Means by which force atoms bind with each other to form a molecule. So these four are the limitations of Dalton atomic theory. On the basis of the limitations of Dalton atomic theory, different scientists modified Dalton atomic theory and postulated a new theory which is termed as modern atomic theory. Now, what are the postulates of modern atomic theory? Now, the first postulate of modern atomic theory is atom is no longer indivisible. Because at that time it was discovered that atom is made up of three subatomic particles, that is electrons, protons and neutrons. Means atom is not the smallest particle present in the matter. Even much smaller particles are also there, which are known as subatomic particles, electron, proton and neutron. And if we take the example of nuclear reactions like nuclear fission and nuclear fusion, in these reactions we saw that one atom get converted into another atom, and if one atom get converted into another atom, means atom is divisible. So first postulate is atom is no longer indivisible. Now second postulate is it is not necessary that atoms of same element are similar in all respect. For example, isotopes. Now what are isotopes? Isotopes are the atoms of same element having same atomic number but different mass number. If we talk about carbon, C12 and C14, these are the isotopes of the carbon. These two are atoms of same element, that is carbon. They have same atomic number, that is 6, but their mass number are different, that is 12 and 14. Now the third postulate of modern atomic theory is it is not necessary that the atoms of different elements are different in all respect. For example, isobars. What are isobars? Isobars are the atoms of different elements having same mass number but different atomic number. Means they are atoms of different element, they have all different properties but their masses are same. For example, calcium and argon. Argon, the atomic number is 18, calcium, the atomic number is 20, but the mass for argon and calcium is 40. Now the fourth postulate of modern atomic theory is whenever atom combines to form compound, they'll do so in fixed ratio. They may be combined in fixed ratio, they may be combined in integral ratio, but it is not necessary that every time they'll combine in simple whole number ratio. Let us take an example. Sugar molecule C12H22O11. This is the formula of sugar. Now we are not able to simplify this formula because a single number is not divisible by these three numbers. So the ratio of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen is 12, 22 and 11. This is a integral ratio, this is a whole ratio, this is a fixed ratio. Means sugar always combine in this ratio. So it is a fixed ratio. It may be integral, but it is not a simple ratio. So it is not necessary that atom always combine in a simple ratio by mass. Sometimes the ratio becomes complex. Clear? So our next topic is Avogadro law. While trying to correlate between the Dalton atomic theory and the Gay-Lussac law, there was a scientist, Berzelius. He put forward a hypothesis in 1811. We know that Dalton atomic theory was failed to explain Gay-Lussac law. So Berzelius in 1811 put forward a generalization which correlate Dalton atomic theory and Gay-Lussac law. Now, what is the statement of this Berzelius hypothesis? According to Berzelius hypothesis, when atoms of different gases combines with each other, under similar condition of temperature and pressure, equal volume of gases contain equal number of atoms. So, according to Berzelius hypothesis, under similar condition of temperature and pressure, equal volume of gases contain equal number of atoms. Let us take an example. H2 gas reacts with Cl2 gas to form 2HCl gas. Why 2HCl? Because we balance this equation, that H2 gas reacts with Cl2 gas to form 2HCl gas. So, according to Gay-Lussac law, one volume of H2 reacts with one volume of C2 to form two volume of HCl. This is according to Gay-Lussac law. Now, what is according to Berzelius hypothesis? That equal volume of gases under similar condition of temperature and pressure contains equal number of atoms. Means if the temperature and pressure is same here, this contain n number of atoms. So this also contain n number of atoms, because here also volume is 1, here also volume is 1, and this contain 2n number of atoms. Clear? This is according to Berzelius hypothesis. If we talk about one atom of H2 reacts with one atom of Cl2 to form two atom of HCl. This is according to the reaction, because one volume reacts to give two volume. So one atom reacts to give two atom of HCl. So if we have to make one atom of HCl, then according to this equation, half atom of H2 reacts with half atom of Cl2 to form one atom of HCl. Means if we want one atom of HCl, then we have to take half atom of H2 and half atom of HCl. And if we recognize, or if we recall the Dalton atomic theory, according to Dalton atomic theory, atom is indestructible. And if atom is indestructible, how half atom is possible? So Berzelius theory doesn't able to correlate between the Dalton's atomic theory and the Gay-Lussac law. That's why it remained hypothesis. But Avogadro overcome this problem and give it law, that is Avogadro law. Now, according to Avogadro law, when different gases under similar condition of temperature and pressure, the equal volume of different gases under similar condition of temperature and pressure contain equal number of molecules. Berzelius said that equal number of atoms, and Avogadro said that equal number of molecules. Means gases under similar condition of temperature and pressure, if equal volume is there, then they have equal number of molecules. In this, H2 plus Cl2 gives 2HCl. According to Gay-Lussac law, one volume of H2 reacts with one volume of Cl2 to form two volume of HCl. Let us consider one volume equals to n molecule. So n molecule reacts with n molecule of Cl2 to form 2n molecule of HCl. Clear? And one molecule of H2 reacts with one molecule of Cl2 to forms two molecule of HCl. And if we want to produce only one molecule of HCl, then we require half molecule of H2 and half molecule of Cl2. And the division of molecule is possible because molecule is made up of atom. Molecule is not the smallest particle. Atom is the smallest particle. Means we can able to divide molecule. So half molecule of H2 and half molecule of Cl2 is possible, but half atom of H2 and half atom of Cl2 is not possible. So in this equation, it correlates the Dalton atomic theory and Gay-Lussac law by statement that under similar condition of temperature and pressure, equal volume contains equal number of molecules. Clear? Next we will talk about application of Avogadro law. We learned about Avogadro law. Now what is the application of Avogadro law? First application is deduction of atomicity of elementary gases. Now what do you mean by atomicity? Atomicity of any gas is the number of the atoms which are present in one molecule of the gas. The number of atoms which are present in the one molecule of a gas is known as atomicity of a gas. And what do you mean by elementary gas? Elementary gas means a gas which is made up of only one element, like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. These are the elementary gases. If we talk about carbon dioxide gas, this is not an elementary gas because it is made up of two elements, carbon and oxygen. So first application is deduction of atomicity of elementary gases. Now we know that H2 plus O2, they will combine to form H2O. When we balance the equation, this becomes half. Now according to Avogadro law, one volume of H2 reacts with half volume of O2 to form one volume of H2O, and volume is related with molecule. So one molecule of H2 reacts with half molecule of H2 to form one molecule of H2O. Now in this is not an elementary gas, but these two are elementary gases. Now if we talk about oxygen, half molecule of oxygen gas contain one atom of oxygen. One atom of oxygen, because half molecule is made up of one atom. So if we talk about one molecule of oxygen gas, so one molecule becomes this multiplied by this, that is two atoms of oxygen. So the atomicity of the oxygen gas is 2. So in this way we can able to find out the atomicity of different elementary gases by using Avogadro law. Now the second application is, with the help of Avogadro law, we can determine the relationship between vapor density and molar mass. In our molecular formula, there is a formula which correlates vapor density and molar mass. So with the help of Avogadro law, we will determine the relationship between vapor density and molar mass. Now first of all, we have to learn about vapor density. What do you mean by vapor density? Now what is vapor density? Vapor density is the ratio of a volume of a gas, some volume of a gas, divided by same volume of the hydrogen gas. Mass of some volume of the gas divided by the mass of same volume of the hydrogen gas, that represent vapor density. Means vapor density is equals to mass of some volume of gas divided by mass of same volume of hydrogen gas. Same volume of hydrogen gas. This represents vapor density. And there is one condition that in both the case the temperature and pressure remain same. Means under similar condition of temperature and pressure, the ratio of mass of some volume of gas divided by mass of same volume of hydrogen gas gives vapor density. Now according to Avogadro law, we know that equal volume under similar condition of temperature and pressure contains equal number of molecules. It means mass of n molecule of gas divided by mass of n molecules of hydrogen gas. And if we talk about one molecule, mass of one molecule of any gas divided by mass of one molecule of hydrogen gas. Now, mass of one molecule of a gas, what does this mean? This means the molar mass of the gas, that is the molecular mass of the gas. So this represents molecular mass, and mass of one molecule of hydrogen gas. We know that hydrogen contains two atoms and the mass of one atom of hydrogen is 1. So the mass of hydrogen gas becomes 2. So the formula becomes vapor density is equals to molecular mass divided by 2, or molecular mass is equals to 2 into vapor density. Clear? Now the third application is, with the help of Avogadro law, we can able to determine the relationship between molar mass and volume. Now, in our previous application, we saw that molar mass is equals to 2 into vapor density. Now, if we recall the definition of vapor density, it is mass of some volume of gas divided by mass of same volume of hydrogen gas. Now suppose we will take standard temperature pressure condition. So molar mass is equals to 2 into mass of one volume of gas divided by mass of one volume of hydrogen gas. Here we have fixed quantity of volume, that is 1 liter. Mass of 1 liter volume of gas divided by mass of 1 liter of H2 gas at STP. Now mass of 1 liter of H2 gas at STP is 0.089 gram. That is the mass of 1 liter of H2 at STP. So when we put here mass of 1 liter of gas divided by mass of 1 liter of H2, which is equals to 0.089. Now 2 divided by 0.089 becomes 22.4. So 22.4 multiplied by mass of 1 liter of gas. Now this is 2 and this is 0.089 liter. So the unit of 22.4 becomes also liter. 22.4 liter multiplied by 1 liter becomes 22.4 liter. So the molar mass of the gas is equals to 22.4 liter of the gas. Means if we talk about carbon, 12 gram of carbon volume is 22.4 liter. Okay guys, that's all for today. If you have any query related to any topic, then write your question in my comment section. I'll definitely give your answer in my next video. Till then, stay at home, stay safe. Bye bye. Thank you.